The auditor, when they said that the fund incurred an expenditure of 40 million. Is that the 40 million of the fund which was sent out as fees for the children, or was it an expense by the fund manager?
That 8 million.
38 million.
455, 175. Then another 1,189,000 are the funds which were used as fund administrative expenses. So at that particular time, the total expenditure for the year was 39,644,175.
Now, where is the 40 million, this figure, just for the members to understand? The figure of 40 million that is in the query, 40,148,960 coming from?
I want to bring this to the attention of the committee that at times during the audit process, we do receive various financial statements. And there's a financial statement which we usually receive during the actual audit, which we use to give the management letter. And after the response of the management letter, we also receive another financial statement which we use to issue the draft. So during the seeding of this audit report, the financial statement which was presented to the office is the last financial statement which is used for the seeding. And I think there could be some miscommunication in between the financial statement of the draft and the financial statement which was used for the seeding. And that's where the difference of this 48,000 on 40,000 and 60,000 is coming from.
The difference in the numbers could be as a result of miscommunication of the ceiling and the draft budget. Can he explain the miscommunication and whose fault is that?
Auditor.
Thank you, Chairman. Please kindly allow us to follow up and identify what exactly happened, because the fact remains that the figure which led to this audit report is 39,644,174, not 41 million which you reported. We can follow up and see where the miscommunication happened, and then we can get back and respond to that. Thank you.
The budgetary allocation was 60, but what was actually disbursed was only 40. So this 20 surely, as a fund administration, I think that's just a misstatement, clearly.
Auditor.
Thank you, Chairman. When we are auditing the financial statements, we always compare the budgeted and the actual expenditure. For the final budget column, this is outcome. It's usually an outcome of the process which, as an office, we usually assume that the assembly has been taken through, and they have been able to interrogate family, and if there are such loopholes, like the ones of maybe spending more than what the law allows, that's where we check the column of the actual expenditure.
He's just made a statement that when the accounts are provided to them, they are under the assumption that the assembly has been taken through. I know in accounting there's a lot of assumptions, but the assumptions have to be stated in the account. Now, the auditor, please, I would want you, I'm really trying to understand and I'm not an accountant by my background. The county has provided a statement, which we are looking at, statement of comparison of budget and actual amounts for the period 2022. And there is an obvious error in the statement where the 20 million has been indicated as fund administration expense. And in your queries, you've not even raised that concern.
At the end of the financial year, the budget, it was as it was, because you cannot change the budget. If you get the fund, you need to have a line item to charge you when you even want to request money for that particular fund. So we didn't amend the budget. It's only that we did not disperse the amount because we didn't receive money from National Treasury.
Senator?
Chair, I think Senior Counsel Ojenda was distracting you when I asked the question to the control of budget.
Yeah.
But you should probably also direct that the control of budget provides the timelines of disbursements on that financial year, so that there can be a better understanding in terms of the delay.
I think that is the correct position, Chair. And as I mentioned before, the counties will always have the excuse of delayed disbursement. But then at the end of financial year, they will receive all this equitable share from National Treasury. So as a supplementary budget, once they observe that actually the issue here, as I mentioned earlier, should be lack of collection of on-source revenue. But for equitable share, it will always come.
The fund submitted financial statements for audit during the year under review. It was, however, noted that the financial statements did not contain the background information like the academic and professional qualifications, passport-size photos of both the committee and key management of the fund. It was also noted that the report of the Fund Administration Committee was signed by a member instead of the committee chair. In addition, the fund accountant did not indicate the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, ISPAC, membership number, contrary to the guidelines as per Public Sector Accounting Standards Board, PSAB, on presentation of financial statements. Thank you, Chair.
That in that particular year, the county did not have an ISPAC member as the fund accountant. But we have since rectified that anomaly, and now both the fund accountant and the fund manager are ISPAC members.
Okay.
Thank you.
Auditor?
Thank you, Chairman. The issue is not addressed as it has been earned from the management that they have acknowledged the findings from the auditor. Therefore, we read the Senate. We read the committee to give guidance as we also follow up on the issue by reviewing the 2023-2024 financial statement which will be brought for our audit review. Thank you.
Maybe the liaison officer from Treasury, you can tell us what does the public sector accounting standards say about the fund accountant? Is it mandatory that he has to be ISPAC or any other accountant who is not ISPAC?
Well, thank you, Honorable Chair and members. The person who should sign the financial statement shouldn't be an ISPAC member. And if the county under a challenge of getting an ISPAC member to sign from the fund, the same could have been signed by the accountant, the end of the accounting unit at the county government who is an ISPAC member.
The financial statements that we're talking about for the year 2021-2022, and as per the response by the governor, is that they're in the process of getting qualified members in the fund. Could the governor give
timelines, or how far have they reached in terms of updating their board?
Governor?
Thank you, Chair and Senator. We can confirm that actually we've already recruited Cpic qualified members for both as the accountant and the fund manager. Yeah.
Senator Ojenda?
Chair, sorry, and I think that's the point. If the issue then is resolved, or if you have complied, then I think we need not spend time on this query, and then it's easy for the auditors to take a cue from what you have already done. Now that it was an outstanding issue. Do you have? Is it the same CEC who was there who is there now, or you a new one? So the old one is somewhere at home in Garissa. So we can look for him, correct? Yeah, let's look for him. Thank you.
Senator Haji,
Chair,
do you advise that you cause some trouble?
I have no problem with trouble being caused. It's just that I'm a little taken aback by the senior counsel, who is instructing the EACC officer to go out and investigate, and he has told us he needs time to see if there's any investigation which have been done. So I don't think he can do any arrests unless investigations have been done. But Chair, the line of thinking is in order. I mean, there was a breach of the law, and these accounts are still hanging. We need to know if public funds were lost and who was responsible for that negligence in following the law to the letter.
I concur with the legal counsel that to be able to set an example, we have to make sure that we understand. Having said that, it will also be important for the Auditor General to provide us with a clear audit of the expenditures, line item by line item, so that we can be able to see. And you'll have to do a clear forensic audit whereby you pluck out the emergency fund, you see where the funds are going, you see who has been paid, and you follow the money trail. Because that's the only way you'll be able to get to the bottom line of this. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to submit as such.
Chair, I will not profess to be an expert on the act that the Senator has just quoted. I would rather rely on his expertise and believe that what he has said is for the good of this committee, for the good of the county, and for the good of the country as a way forward in terms of making sure that officers who are accountable adhere to the law. Chair.
Okay, you know there are two issues here. There is one issue is non-compliance to the law. The law says 2 months after the expenditure, the county assembly has to give approval. So that was violated. And then the second bit is the actual expenditure. Was that money used for the emergency, and what are those emergencies?
In implementing the Auditor General's report, in the subsequent year, funded the emergency account. And that is again affirmed by the attached annexures as shown. Thank you.
Auditor, your comments?
Thank you, Chairman. Again, this is an issue which the management of the county, of the fund, have acknowledged the finding of the auditor, and to us, we see the issue has not been addressed, and we let the Senate committee to guide on the way forward.
I believe that we all should ensure fiduciary responsibility, and that is why, Mr. Chairman, I agree, and I'd like you to concur with my sentiments that the previous officers ought to be summoned to appear before this committee as witnesses so that we can follow through and ensure that the money that belongs to the people of Garissa is used by the people of Garissa. I have a very big problem, Mr. Chairman, with this rural-urban migration. You know, if you look at Nairobi, Isili, you'll find probably all the officers who are in the former government and even the current government have properties there. So they're using money that is supposed to be to develop Garissa in Isili. We need to change that. So I hope that, Governor, during this time, we're going to be extremely diligent. We're going to be looking at all the funds which are there. The other committee on PAC is going to be looking at all executive audits. We're also looking at the Assembly's audits. So it's imperative that you let your people know that things have changed. We are scarce of resources. So the little resources we have to utilize them, diligently. And finally, I want to come to Garissa. I want to see the water company, the amount of money that they're spending. I want to ensure that we can go into a house in Garissa and find water, in rural homes. So this time around, things are going to be very different. We have a motion even today, which we want to compel all county governments to pay up to 1 billion shillings of their pending bills before the end of this financial year. But less, we will then compel the controller of budget not to release that money or any exchequer releases. And we found a place in the law because pending bills ought to be the first charge of the account. Even if the Constitution says that the transfer of funds to county government shall not be deducted or delayed, given that the pending bill is supposed to be the first charge of account, we now want to engage a discussion with the controller of budget to ensure that when she's getting a requisition from the county governments, the first charge should be the pending bills. So that way, under Article 228, she'll be releasing money legally. Others, Mr. Chairman, I thank you.
First, Chair, I would like to thank you as the chair of this committee and the committee at large for updating me on the issues on Garissa County and for having me attend the proceedings today. Chair, again, I want to thank you also for your leniency, but I still strongly believe that what happened previously should actually be revisited, Chair, because a county is a government like any other government, and there is continuity. And we have to, I know that we're enjoying devolution for now almost 15 years, but we have to make it very clear to people who intend to apply for jobs at the county government that they are applying to a government and they shall be held responsible for the period of time they are working at the county government and after they have left. Otherwise, Chair, you would be encouraging people to break the law, resign from government, and then continue with their life as usual. And we forgive and we are lenient, Chair. So, but regardless, it is your prerogative, and I would respect your guidance. Chair, going forward, having attended to today's session, I have had quite a lot of reservation about the conduct of the Auditor General. And I would hope that they will up their game, considering now we are going into financial years that is touching to the current government. Because, Chair, considering that we come from Northeastern and we know the stereotype that is there about Northeastern government, county government, it will be very sad for us to blame county governments and county governors of Northeastern about issues which are just sensationalized by the Auditor General. I think the queries that they raise should be substantive and should be thorough so that we can actually know for a fact how the county government is performing as far as the public funds are concerned. Chair, finally, would also like to thank the Governor and his team for appearing and defending financial statements which were not necessarily of their doing, but I would think that they have done a good job in defending the financial statements. I would only want to urge the Governor to ensure that he has developed a risk management policy as required by the PFM going forward so that he'll be able to defend his own financial statements.